What if I told you the reason you're not reaching your full potential isn't because you're not working hard enough, but because of 3 simple daily habits you're probably doing without even realizing it? You're putting in the effort, but something is still holding you back. The truth is, many of us have habits we think are helping us, but they're actually sabotaging our success in ways we don't even see. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need to work harder or push yourself more, but sometimes it's about working smarter, and that starts by recognizing the habits that are actually blocking your progress. In today's video, I'm going to share the 3 most common daily habits mistakes that are keeping you from the success, productivity, and happiness you deserve. These aren't the big, obvious things. They're the small, quiet mistakes that we often overlook. But once you identify them, you can finally stop and start making real progress towards your goals. So if you're tired of feeling stuck or like success is just out of reach, stick with me. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to stop doing and what to start doing instead to unlock your full potential. Number 1, starting the day without a clear intention. Danger of starting the day without a clear intention. You know that feeling when you wake up, hit the snooze button for the 3rd time, and then rush into your day already feeling behind? Maybe you grab your phone right away, scrolling through emails, social media, or news, and suddenly the world is demanding your attention before you even have time to think about what you want. It's a feeling of being immediately pulled in all directions. Now imagine if that same scenario happened day after day. That chaotic start to the day without a clear intention or focus becomes your routine. But here's the problem. When you start your day without a clear intention, you're already setting yourself up to be a passenger in your own life instead of the driver. The danger of starting without intention is that you're letting the world control your day. Without a solid plan, without knowing where you want to go or what you want to achieve, you end up reacting to everything and everyone around you. It's like setting out on a road trip without a map. Sure, you might enjoy the ride, but you're just drifting aimlessly, not really getting anywhere. That lack of direction means you're constantly responding to things, emails, meetings, distractions, rather than proactively moving toward your goals. Before you know it, the day slips by, and you feel like you've accomplished nothing. That feeling of overwhelm, it's not the result of being too busy, but of being too scattered. Think about the days when you start with clarity and intention. You wake up, and before your feet even touch the ground, you know what your focus is. You've decided, whether it's through a moment of reflection, a to-do list, or a brief meditation, that you're going to take charge of the day. Your mind is focused and calm, and you tackle each task with purpose. Now, picture the opposite. You're rushing through the morning, distracted by every notification and every demand. Your mind is scattered, and you're starting to feel the stress pile on even before you've had your coffee. Which one do you think will lead to a more productive, fulfilling day? Starting without intention also messes with your energy. When you're not intentional about your day, it's easy to fall into the trap of reacting to what feels urgent instead of what's important. Have you ever finished a day and realized that you didn't work on a single thing that mattered to your long-term goals? You spent all your energy on what other people needed, but your own dreams and ambitions were left waiting. That's the result of drifting through your day without intention. Your energy gets dispersed into everything else, and there's nothing left for the things that truly matter. The lack of focus drains your enthusiasm, leaving you feeling stuck, unaccomplished, and constantly behind. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. It all starts with a simple shift, a brief moment of intentionality before the day begins. This doesn't have to be a grand or complicated ritual. It could be as simple as taking 5 minutes in the morning to decide what you want to achieve, to visualize the day ahead, or even to just breathe and mentally prepare. When you set that intention, you're taking control of your energy and focus. You're deciding that your day will go the way you want it to, not based on what's thrown at you, but based on your priorities. You're choosing proactivity over reactivity. Here's a small example. Let's say you wake up and immediately start checking your phone. The first thing you see is an email from work, demanding your immediate attention. That's your day starting in chaos, where you're reacting to someone else's agenda. But imagine if, instead, you woke up and took 5 minutes to reflect on what you want to achieve today. Maybe you want to have a productive morning, finish a project, or even take a moment for self-care. By setting your intention first, you've already created the path for your day. You're not at the mercy of your emails or the phone's constant pinging. Your energy and focus are now aligned with what's important to you, and the world's demands can't steer you off course so easily. So what's the real cost of starting your day without intention? It's not just wasted time, it's wasted potential. When you start your day mindlessly, you're allowing yourself to be at the mercy of distractions and external forces. Your power is in setting your intention, and that's what creates clarity, focus, and forward momentum. You hold the key to making your days count, and it all begins with one simple habit: starting your day with intention. Next, we'll explore how these habits affect your focus, energy, and overall success. Stick around, the best is yet to come. How these habits affect your focus, energy, and overall success. Think back to a day when you woke up, rushed through your morning routine, and immediately felt like you were running behind. Maybe you grabbed your phone first thing, checked your emails, or jumped straight into a long list of tasks. Before you knew it, you were caught in a whirlwind of obligations, and by the end of the day, you realized you hadn't made any real progress toward what you truly wanted. It's frustrating, right? But here's the truth. Starting your day without a clear intention can quietly sabotage your focus, energy, and overall success without you even realizing it. When you wake up without a plan, you're essentially setting yourself adrift, without a destination. Your mind is like a compass. If you don't set it to true north, it can easily wander. Think about how easily distractions take over when you don't have a clear goal for the day. The morning scroll through social media, a quick check of your emails, or mindlessly watching TV all take up precious time and energy. Each small action, though seemingly insignificant in the moment, adds up. Your focus gets scattered, and instead of moving closer to your goals, you're reacting to everything around you. The result? You're left feeling unproductive and unaccomplished by the end of the day. This lack of intention also deeply affects your energy. You know that feeling when you wake up and feel like you have no idea what the day will bring, so you just dive into whatever comes your way? It's like being on autopilot. The issue here is that you're not controlling your energy. You're letting it get drained by external factors. When you don't set an intention for the day, you become a passive participant in your own life. Everything else demands your attention. The stress, the distractions, the endless tasks, it all adds up. And before you know it, your energy reserves are running on empty by mid-afternoon. You're no longer focused, and your productivity dwindles. On the flip side, think about the mornings when you wake up with a sense of purpose. You've already decided what's important for the day, and you dive into your morning routine with clarity. That intention you've set for yourself gives you the momentum you need to focus your energy on what matters. You're not wasting time, and your energy is invested where it counts. Whether it's making time for a quick workout, sitting down with your to-do list, or simply having a moment of mindfulness before you jump into the day, that small shift can completely change your focus and energy levels for the better. Another major piece of the puzzle is focus. Without clear intentions, your focus is at the mercy of whatever comes your way. It's easy to get pulled in all directions. Checking your phone, answering emails, attending meetings that aren't relevant to your main goals. This scattered attention leads to mental exhaustion, and the more you let distractions take over, the harder it becomes to refocus. The key here is that intention is the anchor that keeps you grounded. When you know what you want to accomplish and stay focused on that, your mind naturally filters out the noise. You're no longer reacting to every little thing. Instead, you're moving purposefully toward your goals. Now let's talk about the big picture effect on overall success. Success doesn't come from randomly going through the motions. It's about consistently making choices that move you closer to your desired outcomes. When you start your day without setting intentions, you're making it harder to stay on track. You're less likely to be proactive and more likely to fall into the trap of being reactive. And over time, those little moments of misalignment accumulate. Your success isn't a matter of luck. It's about alignment, focus, and energy. Every small decision you make, every morning you start with intention, you're taking steps toward creating the success you want. On the other hand, when you start aimlessly, you're leaving your success up to chance. What if you made a simple shift? What if, instead of diving into the chaos of the day, you paused for just a moment to decide what you want to achieve? What if, in the first few minutes after waking, you set a clear intention and thought about how to move closer to your goals? It doesn't have to be a complex strategy. Just a brief moment of clarity and intention can make all the difference. Imagine the way that small act of clarity could shape the next hour and the next and the next. It's a domino effect of focus and energy that propels you forward. Next, we'll explore simple strategies to break free from these mistakes and build positive habits. Stay tuned. Simple strategies to break free from these mistakes and build positive habits. You know that feeling when you wake up and the world feels like it's already rushing past you? You scramble to check your phone, grab a quick bite, and before you know it, the day is in full swing, but you feel like you're just reacting to everything around you. That lack of clarity sets the tone for the entire day. It's like setting out for a road trip without knowing where you're headed. You're bound to get lost or feel like you're just drifting. But what if there was a simple way to avoid this chaos? What if you could start your day with a clear intention and set yourself up for success, energy, and focus from the moment you open your eyes? The first thing to understand is that small changes lead to big results. You don't need to overhaul your entire routine overnight. Instead, focus on one small habit that you can change. The key is to start with a moment of intention. It might sound small, but this moment of clarity can shift everything. Think about the first 5 minutes after you wake up. Instead of jumping straight into your day or letting the distractions take over, try taking a few deep breaths. Pause before you grab your phone or get out of bed. This pause gives you the space to set an intention for the day ahead. It's a mental reset, a moment to take control before the world pulls you in every direction. Another powerful way to break free from this lack of intention is to create a simple morning ritual. This ritual doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler the better. It could be as easy as drinking a glass of water, stretching for a few minutes, or journaling for 3 to 5 minutes about what you're grateful for and what you want to accomplish that day. By making this ritual a daily habit, you are telling your mind and body that this is the start of a productive, intentional day. This sets the tone for everything that comes next. Instead of feeling like the day is controlling you, you are actively shaping it. But let's be real. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, we still fall into old habits. We might slip back into mindlessly checking our emails or scrolling through social media. The trick here is to anchor your intention by using a reminder. This could be a physical object, like a post-it note with your intention written on it, or even an alarm set for a specific time to remind you to refocus. It's about building a physical cue that pulls you back to the present moment, reminding you of the vision you set for your day. Consistency is key, so the more you reinforce your intention, the easier it becomes to stay on track. One more simple strategy is to plan your day the night before. This doesn't have to be a detailed schedule. Just take a few minutes before bed to jot down the top 3 things you want to accomplish the next day. That way, when you wake up, you already have a clear vision of what's ahead. You've taken away the guesswork. Instead of waking up and feeling overwhelmed with choices, you know exactly what you need to do first. This simple planning method clears mental clutter and helps you jump into your tasks with a sense of purpose and direction. The most important thing to remember is that breaking free from starting your day without intention doesn't require perfection. It's about progress. As you begin to develop these small habits and integrate them into your routine, you'll naturally build momentum. And as you see how much more focused and energized you feel throughout the day, you'll be motivated to keep going. Slowly, the new habits will replace the old ones. Over time, you'll find yourself consistently starting your day with a sense of clarity, energy, and focus. And here's the best part. It doesn't have to be perfect to work. You're going to have days when you forget or get off track. That's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. It's all part of the process. The key is to keep showing up, even on the days when things don't go according to plan. Each small step forward adds up, and eventually you'll realize that you've built a new, positive habit, one that allows you to take control of your day and your life. Next, we'll talk about real-life examples of how successful people overcame these common mistakes. Stay tuned, because your best self is closer than you think. Real-life examples of how successful people overcame these common mistakes. You've probably heard about those incredibly successful people, entrepreneurs, athletes, and visionaries who seem to have it all figured out. They've got the perfect morning routine, the right habits, and always seem to be 3 steps ahead. But what you might not know is that many of them didn't always start out that way. In fact, some of them struggled with the same chaos and lack of direction that we often face at the start of our day. The difference? They turned it around. They recognized that the key to success wasn't just about having a clear vision for the future. It was about starting each day with intention. Take Richard Branson, for example. You probably think of him as a man with boundless energy, leading Virgin and tackling world records. But Branson wasn't always the disciplined, driven entrepreneur he is today. He admits that, early in his career, he would wake up feeling overwhelmed, unsure of where to focus his attention, and would start his days distracted, just like many of us. But over time, he realized the importance of starting the day with intention. He began waking up earlier, focusing on what he could control, and planning his day around his key priorities. Slowly, he turned his mornings from chaotic to focused. Now, he starts his day with clarity, whether it's getting active with exercise or setting aside time for his most important tasks. And that shift has helped him build one of the most successful companies in the world. Then, there's Oprah Winfrey, whose morning ritual is something she credits with her success. Oprah didn't always have everything figured out. Early in her career, she was often overwhelmed, dealing with the pressures of managing a demanding job and personal life. But once she started to realize that the way she began her day set the tone for everything that followed, she made intentional changes. Oprah began waking up earlier to meditate, read, and reflect on her day ahead. This gave her the mental clarity she needed to tackle whatever challenges came her way. Oprah wasn't always calm, collected, or focused, just like many of us. But she knew that aligning her mind in the morning was key to staying grounded. Her success didn't just come from hard work. It came from the intention and clarity she gave herself every day from the moment she woke up. And let's not forget Tim Ferriss, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek. Ferriss is known for his obsession with productivity and success hacks. But like so many of us, he didn't start out being the super efficient, highly focused person we know him as today. Early in his career, Ferriss was all over the place. He admits that he struggled with distractions and often felt like his day was getting away from him. But once he began to realize how much his morning routine mattered, everything changed. Ferriss started waking up earlier, establishing a simple but powerful routine of journaling, exercising, and visualizing his goals for the day. This intentional approach helped him sharpen his focus, giving him the energy and clarity to tackle whatever challenges the day threw at him. The lesson here? If you don't start with intention, you'll likely lose focus along the way. These successful people didn't wake up with everything in place. They had to change their habits and shift their mindset. They had to make a conscious decision to stop reacting to the chaos of their mornings and start taking control of their days from the very beginning. It's easy to get distracted by emails, notifications, and the noise of the world. But the true game changer for them, and for anyone who wants to succeed, is starting each day with purpose. The beauty of these stories is that they show us something incredibly powerful. Small shifts in your morning routine can make a massive difference in your life. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment or feel ready to get started. Just like Oprah, Richard, and Tim, you can make simple changes to your mornings. Start small. Maybe it's a few minutes of quiet reflection or setting your intentions for the day. Over time, these small actions build up and create the foundation of success. Think about your own mornings. Are you waking up with a sense of purpose, or are you allowing the world to dictate your day? Do you feel focused and energized, or do you find yourself scrambling to catch up? The difference between these successful figures and the rest of us isn't just talent or luck. It's that they made the decision to take charge of their mornings, and in doing so, they transform their lives. Number 2, failing to prioritize your most important tasks. Danger of failing to prioritize your most important tasks. There's a feeling we've all experienced at one point or another, waking up with the best of intentions, ready to tackle the day, only to find ourselves consumed by a long list of minor tasks. You know the ones: emails that don't really matter, small errands, a few phone calls, and distractions that seem to pop up out of nowhere. It feels like you're being productive, but by the end of the day, you realize you've barely touched the things that actually matter. It's a sinking feeling, isn't it? That realization that you've spent hours on things that ultimately don't move you closer to your bigger goals. And here's the kicker. Failing to prioritize your most important tasks isn't just frustrating. It's holding you back from reaching your full potential. The danger of not prioritizing is that it tricks you into thinking you're busy when you're actually being unproductive. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of smaller, less important tasks that feel urgent in the moment. You check your inbox and respond to every email that comes through, even if they're not critical. You feel busy because you're checking things off a list, but none of those tasks are moving the needle on your big picture. And here's where it gets tricky. When you do this day after day, it creates a habit. You begin to think that checking off those small items is enough to make progress, but in reality, you're just running in circles. The real problem is that time doesn't stop. Every hour you spend focusing on the wrong things is an hour you'll never get back. Every minute spent in reaction mode, dealing with tasks that don't align with your long-term goals, distracts you from what truly matters. And as those small tasks pile up, you end up feeling overwhelmed, like you're always playing catch-up. You start to think, I'll get to the big stuff tomorrow, but the cycle continues. Tomorrow becomes the next day, then next week, and before you know it, you've missed deadlines, opportunities, or, worse, your potential. Let's take a moment to think about someone you admire. Maybe it's an entrepreneur, an athlete, or an artist. Do you think they got where they are by getting bogged down in small, low-priority tasks? Of course not. They've mastered the art of prioritization. They focus on what will get them closer to their vision and let the rest fall by the wayside. Their success isn't just about working hard. It's about being strategic with their time and energy. They understand that, in order to build something great, they have to focus on the few things that truly matter and let go of everything else. Now, imagine if you started every day by choosing your top 1, 2, or 3 priorities, the tasks that would actually bring you closer to your goals. What if, instead of getting distracted by less important stuff, you started each day with a clear intention to focus on those big tasks, no matter how uncomfortable or challenging they felt? The truth is, the moment you start focusing on what truly matters, everything else becomes easier. You stop feeling overwhelmed, and you start making actual progress. This is when you move from feeling like you're running in place to moving forward with purpose. But how do you make that shift? It's about recognizing the difference between urgent and important. Not everything that comes across your desk needs your immediate attention. Emails, phone calls, and meetings can feel urgent, but they often don't contribute to your larger goals. The key is to step back and ask yourself, what will help me grow today? What will bring me closer to my vision? Take control of your time, and don't let distractions take the wheel. It's a choice. You can decide to spend your time doing what truly matters, or get swept away by the flood of minor tasks that don't move the needle. Another piece of the puzzle is avoiding perfectionism. A lot of us fall into the trap of wanting everything to be perfect before we move forward. So we spend hours tweaking things that don't matter, avoiding the big tasks because they feel daunting or uncertain. But progress doesn't come from perfect execution. It comes from taking action, even if it's imperfect. Think about the most successful people in the world. Did they wait until everything was perfect to take that first step? Of course not. They took messy, imperfect action, and that's what allowed them to learn, adjust, and move forward. Here's the truth. Failing to prioritize your most important tasks isn't just about time management. It's about living intentionally. It's about deciding that your dreams matter more than the distractions. It's about taking control of your days and choosing to focus on what will make the biggest difference in your life. Yes, it can be hard. Yes, it requires discipline. But once you get into the habit of prioritizing the right things, everything else falls into place. You'll feel more focused, more accomplished, and more aligned with your true goals. And here's the best part. You don't have to be perfect at it. You don't need to get it right every single time. It's about progress, not perfection. Every time you make the decision to focus on what matters, even when it's hard, you're building a habit that will pay off in the long run. So ask yourself today, what's one thing I can prioritize today that will move me closer to my goals? Just one small change can shift everything. Next, we'll dive deeper into how these habits affect your focus, energy, and overall success. Stay tuned! How these habits affect your focus, energy, and overall success. We've all been there, starting the day with a vague sense of what we should be doing, but getting pulled in 100 different directions instead. You might wake up with big plans, but suddenly, the day is filled with distractions. You check emails, scroll through social media, deal with little tasks that seem urgent, but don't really move you closer to your goals. By the time the day ends, you're left wondering, what did I actually accomplish? This cycle of failing to prioritize your most important tasks isn't just frustrating. It can have a huge impact on your focus, energy, and success. When you don't prioritize, your focus is like a wandering compass, unable to find its true direction. Each time you get caught up in small, insignificant tasks, you're spreading your attention too thin. Instead of diving deep into something meaningful, your energy is scattered. The result? You feel mentally drained, But you look back and realize you've accomplished little. Focus isn't just about being busy, it's about being deliberate. When you don't prioritize, your mental energy gets diverted into unnecessary activities that don't contribute to your bigger picture. And the more you scatter your focus, the more difficult it becomes to really dive into the work that requires true concentration and depth. Let's talk about energy. Think about the last time you had a full, productive day where you tackled your big tasks with ease. You probably felt energized, right? But what happens when your focus is pulled away from what matters? You start feeling drained, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Trying to juggle too many things at once, especially things that don't matter, can leave you feeling like you've run a marathon without really going anywhere. Every time you choose not to prioritize, you're expending energy on tasks that don't fuel your growth, and over time this leads to burnout, leaving you exhausted with little to show for it. Now think about how this affects your overall success. Success doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of intentional, focused action taken over time. When you constantly fail to prioritize, you're inadvertently putting up roadblocks to your own progress. Every minute you spend on something that doesn't bring you closer to your goals is a minute you'll never get back. And eventually, the momentum you need to reach your bigger goals slows down. Instead of pushing forward, you're stuck in a cycle of busy work, wasting precious time and energy. When the day is over, you realize you've been putting out fires, answering emails, or handling random tasks, but your biggest goals remain untouched. Success, as much as it depends on hard work, also depends on where and how you direct that hard work. Without prioritizing, you're not building on anything substantial, you're just treading water. And here's the catch. The longer this goes on, the more you begin to feel like you're failing. You start doubting yourself, wondering if you'll ever make progress. When you aren't prioritizing the things that truly matter, you're left feeling unfulfilled, wondering where your time has gone. It's easy to fall into a trap where distractions become your default, whether it's answering calls, scrolling through your phone, or dealing with every little interruption. These actions rob you of the precious time that could be used to work toward your real goals. Over time, this leads to frustration and a deep sense of regret that you didn't spend your days more intentionally. And let's be real, no one wants to look back on their life and realize they were stuck in a cycle of meaningless tasks. But here's the good news. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward breaking free. You don't have to let this cycle continue. The moment you start focusing on your biggest priorities, everything begins to shift. Instead of wasting time on distractions, you choose what truly matters and give it your full attention. You create a plan, prioritize your goals, and align your actions with your bigger vision. Once you do this, your energy will be replenished, your focus will sharpen, and your sense of accomplishment will skyrocket. That sense of clarity and forward momentum feels so much better than scrambling through a day, uncertain of what you've actually done. This shift doesn't have to be drastic. It starts with a simple step: make time for what matters most. Decide on your top priorities and commit to focusing on them, even if it's just for an hour or two each day. When you focus your energy on the tasks that move you closer to your goals, everything changes. The scattered feeling will fade, and you'll begin to experience the satisfaction that comes from purposeful action. So what's one thing you can prioritize today? What's the most important task that can bring you closer to the success you desire? Choose that, focus on it, and take action. Start with one step. The momentum will follow. Next, we'll dive into simple, actionable strategies that can help you get the most out of your day and stay on track with your goals. Stay tuned, because the next step could be the game changer you've been waiting for. Simple strategies to break free from these mistakes and build positive habits. The truth is, we all get caught up in the hustle. There's always something to do. Emails to check, errands to run, meetings to attend, and it can feel impossible to focus on the things that really matter. We get so lost in the chaos that we forget to make time for what's truly important. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be that way. Breaking free from the habit of failing to prioritize your most important tasks doesn't require a huge overhaul. It's about small, intentional changes that, over time, can transform the way you work and live. One of the first and most powerful strategies is creating a morning routine that sets you up for success. The way you start your day dictates everything that comes after. If you wake up, grab your phone, and dive into emails or social media, your day is already hijacked by external demands. Instead, start by taking a few moments of quiet. No need to rush. Just breathe, reflect on what you want to accomplish, and set an intention for your day. It doesn't have to be complicated. Something as simple as, today, I will focus on completing one important task, can make all the difference. This sets the tone for your day and gets your mind aligned with your goals before anything else takes over. Next, break your tasks into smaller chunks. If you're looking at a mountain of work, it can feel completely overwhelming, and that's where procrastination creeps in. But when you break things down into bite-sized pieces, you're more likely to actually start. Start with just one thing. It could be as small as writing one paragraph, making one phone call, or clearing just one part of your desk. The key is to get the ball rolling. The momentum you build with that first small step carries you forward and creates a sense of accomplishment that fuels your energy and focus for the rest of the day. Another powerful tool is the power of saying no. It's not always easy, but learning to say no to things that aren't aligned with your goals is crucial. It's easy to get distracted by opportunities, requests, or just the feeling of being needed. But if it doesn't directly contribute to your main priorities, it's just noise. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to your goals, to your future, and to your success. Protect your time like it's your most valuable resource because, well, it is. When you start saying no to the distractions, it's amazing how much more focused you'll become on what truly matters. One of the most effective strategies for staying on track is creating a system for prioritizing your daily tasks. You don't have to spend hours making detailed plans or complicated to-do lists. A simple strategy is to ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do today that will move me closest to my goal? That's your top priority. Then, look at the rest of the tasks. What can be delegated, delayed, or eliminated? By doing this every morning or the night before, you're giving yourself a roadmap for the day. And when your day is mapped out, you're less likely to get lost in the distractions that come your way. Now let's talk about building consistency. It's easy to start strong for a few days or a week, but long-term success comes from sticking with it. One strategy is to set up small daily rituals. When you make prioritizing your most important tasks a habit, it becomes second nature. Whether it's making your bed in the morning, journaling, or reviewing your to-do list, these rituals act as mental cues to kickstart your focus and productivity. They create a sense of structure and rhythm that makes it easier to dive into your most important tasks without hesitation. The more consistent you are, the easier it gets to break free from distractions and stay on top of your priorities. But perhaps the most important strategy of all is practicing self-compassion. We all slip up. We all have days when we get off track, and that's okay. The key is to not let those moments derail your entire progress. Instead of beating yourself up, recognize that it's just a part of the journey. Get back up, reset your intention, and move forward. Progress isn't linear. It's messy, full of ups and downs. What matters is that you're consistently making an effort to improve, to be better, and to stay aligned with your goals. These strategies aren't meant to be overwhelming. They're meant to be actionable steps that help you break free from the cycle of mindlessly reacting to the world around you. Each small shift, each habit change, and each decision to prioritize will eventually create a cascade of positive results. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about making small, conscious choices every day that add up to something big. So ask yourself, what's one small change you can make today to start prioritizing your most important tasks? Maybe it's creating a morning routine, setting an intention, or simply saying no to something that doesn't align with your goals. Whatever it is, take that first step. The power to transform your day and ultimately your life is in your hands. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to build habits that stick so you can make these changes permanent and truly unlock your potential. Stay tuned because the journey toward creating your best self is just getting started. Number 3, saying yes when you really should be saying no. Danger of saying yes when you really should be saying no. It feels good to say yes, right? Especially when someone asks for help or presents an opportunity that seems exciting. We want to be helpful, we want to be liked, and we want to feel useful. But what happens when you say yes even though deep down you know it's not the right choice for you? It might seem harmless at first, but saying yes when you should be saying no can quickly snowball into something much more damaging than you realize. The danger is subtle. At first, it might just feel like you're being generous or taking advantage of an opportunity. But over time, those yeses add up, and you end up spreading yourself too thin. You find yourself exhausted, overworked, and feeling like you've lost control of your own time. You start saying yes to everyone else's needs and demands, but in doing so, you're saying no to your own priorities and dreams. Think about the times when you've agreed to help someone with a project that wasn't really aligned with your goals, or you've taken on an extra task at work that you didn't have the time or energy for. Maybe you volunteered to do something out of guilt or the fear of letting someone down. In the moment, it seems small, but every yes that isn't rooted in your true desires or goals is a drain on your energy. It diverts your focus and takes precious time away from what matters most to you. Before you know it, you're mentally and physically drained, overwhelmed, and far from where you want to be. The real danger lies in the emotional toll of saying yes when you don't want to. Even if you smile and say the words, inside you're already feeling frustrated, annoyed, or even resentful. And that's not healthy. Over time, that resentment builds up, making it harder to say no next time. You start to feel like you're trapped in a cycle where you're constantly giving without receiving anything in return. That imbalance leads to burnout, and burnout leaves you unable to give to anyone, including yourself. It's like pouring from an empty cup. You have nothing left to offer. And then there's the effect on your relationships. We think that saying yes makes us people pleasers, that it'll create goodwill and strengthen bonds. But in reality, constantly agreeing to things that aren't aligned with your needs can erode trust. People begin to take your willingness to say yes for granted, and you start to feel like you're being used rather than appreciated. The sacrifice of your own time and energy doesn't get noticed in the way you want it to. Instead of respect, it breeds more requests, more demands, and more situations where you feel obligated rather than empowered. Now, I know saying no can feel uncomfortable. The guilt creeps in, the fear of disappointing others, or the worry that you'll miss out on something valuable. But here's the truth. Saying no when it's needed is not selfish. It's self-care. It's about respecting your boundaries and recognizing that your time, energy, and focus are your most valuable assets. When you say no, you're making space for what truly matters to you. You're creating room for your goals, your dreams, and your well-being. Saying no is also empowering. It gives you control over your life, your time, and your priorities. It allows you to say yes to things that align with your values, things that will bring you closer to where you want to be instead of further away. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but the more you practice, the easier it becomes to make decisions that serve you. And when you start saying no to the things that drain you, you'll notice a shift in how you feel. More clarity, more energy, more focus. You're no longer reacting to every request or demand. You're acting in alignment with your true needs and goals. You're also teaching others how to respect your boundaries. When you learn to say no with kindness and confidence, people start to understand that your time and energy are limited, and they'll value you more for it. They'll appreciate your honesty, and you'll build stronger, more respectful relationships in the process. So, what's the takeaway here? Saying yes when you should say no doesn't just affect your to-do list, it affects your mental and emotional health. It leaves you feeling drained, overextended, and less in control of your own life. But when you learn to say no to the things that don't serve you, you'll find that your energy shifts toward what really matters, and that's when you start making meaningful progress toward your goals. Next time, we'll dive into how these habits affect your focus, energy, and overall success. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss the next step in reclaiming your power. How these habits affect your focus, energy, and overall success. You know that moment when you agree to something, and as soon as the words leave your mouth, you feel a sinking sensation in your stomach? It's that gut feeling telling you this isn't what I should be doing, but you've already said yes. Maybe it's an extra task at work, a favor for a friend, or a commitment you don't actually have time for. At the time, it might feel like the right thing to do, saying yes, being the helpful person, being liked, not wanting to disappoint anyone. But, without realizing it, you've just handed over your focus and energy to something that doesn't align with your true goals. In those moments when you say yes even when you should be saying no, you're opening the door to distractions that chip away at your focus. Think about it. Every time you agree to something that doesn't serve you, your mind is pulled in a new direction. Now, you're no longer focused on what's important to you. Instead, you're juggling another responsibility that you didn't need. This split focus makes it nearly impossible to give your full attention to your most important tasks. You might sit down to work, but your mind keeps wandering back to that favor you agreed to, or that meeting you didn't have time for. It's exhausting to try and give your energy to so many things at once, and the worst part is, it doesn't allow you to give your best self to anything. It's not just your focus that takes the hit. Saying yes to things that drain you also drains your energy. Think about the last time you took on more than you could handle. You probably started the day feeling good, but by the time evening rolled around, you were spent. Not physically tired necessarily, but mentally and emotionally exhausted. This kind of fatigue can be sneaky. It doesn't hit you all at once, but gradually, throughout the day. You're giving bits of yourself away to tasks that you didn't really want to do, and that constant give starts to feel like an emotional tax. And once your energy is depleted, it's incredibly hard to stay focused or motivated to do what truly matters. Everything starts to feel like a chore, and your best efforts are diluted by a sense of burnout. When you're constantly saying yes to things that aren't aligned with your goals, you're unknowingly setting yourself up for failure in your personal and professional life. Success is a byproduct of intentionality, not of mindlessly saying yes to every opportunity that comes your way. If you fill your plate with things that don't matter to you or your vision, there's no space left for the things that will actually bring you success. It's a recipe for stagnation. You might think that saying yes means you're being productive or helpful, but in reality, it's causing you to scatter your energy and lose track of your long-term goals. Let's also not forget about the impact on your self-worth. Every time you say yes when you should say no, you're essentially telling yourself that other people's needs are more important than your own. That might feel good in the short term, making someone happy, avoiding conflict, but it slowly chips away at your self-respect. You start to feel like a doormat, like you're constantly giving but not receiving the time and respect you deserve. And when your sense of self-worth takes a hit, it's harder to stay motivated and push forward in other areas of your life. But here's where it gets interesting. Saying no is a powerful act of self-care. It doesn't mean you're being selfish or uncaring. It means you're choosing to protect your focus, energy, and long-term success. The most successful people don't say yes to everything. They say yes to the things that truly align with their vision and goals. When you say no to what doesn't matter, you free up your mental space and emotional energy to say yes to things that move you closer to your dreams. It's about having the courage to draw boundaries and prioritize yourself. Think about how much better your day would go if you started saying no to the things that drain you. Instead of feeling overwhelmed and scattered, you would feel more focused and energized. You could use that saved time and energy to double down on what truly matters to you: your personal growth, your business, your health, your relationships. It's not about being rude or dismissive. It's about being intentional and honoring what matters most to you. So how do we start changing this habit? It's about building awareness. Start noticing the moments when you're saying yes out of guilt, fear, or obligation. Ask yourself, is this serving me? Does this align with my goals? If the answer is no, it's okay to say no. And remember, saying no doesn't have to be harsh or final. It can be a gentle, respectful decision that empowers you to focus on what really matters. Now, I know this isn't easy. It takes practice and courage, but the payoff is worth it. You're reclaiming your time, your energy, and your focus, and that's when real progress happens. Next, we'll explore simple strategies to break free from these mistakes and build positive habits. Stay tuned! Simple strategies to break free from these mistakes and build positive habits. There's a certain type of pressure we all feel when we're asked to do something, whether it's at work, with friends, or in our personal lives. It's that moment when someone asks for your help, and it's so hard to say no. You want to be the person who helps, who's reliable, and who doesn't disappoint. But here's the thing. Saying yes when you really should say no isn't helping anyone, least of all yourself. In fact, it's only setting you up to feel overwhelmed, drained, and stuck in a cycle of burnout. So how do you break free from this habit? Let's talk about some simple strategies that can help you start saying no with confidence and build positive habits that allow you to reclaim your time and energy. First off, it's important to recognize when you're saying yes out of guilt or fear. So often, we say yes because we fear letting someone down or we don't want to come across as rude. But the truth is, Constantly saying yes when it's not in alignment with your own needs or goals creates a ripple effect that affects your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. The first step is awareness. Start noticing when you're agreeing to things you don't really want to do or that aren't in your best interest. Pay attention to how it makes you feel. Does it cause stress? Does it leave you feeling drained? When you become more aware of your motivations, you can start making decisions with intention instead of defaulting to what's easy or expected. Next, let's talk about setting boundaries. This is where the magic happens. Boundaries don't mean you're being selfish. They mean you're respecting your own time, energy, and well-being. A boundary simply says, this is what I'm willing to give, and this is what I'm not, and you have the right to enforce it. A great place to start is by deciding in advance what your priorities are. If you've taken the time to figure out what matters most to you, whether it's your health, your family, your personal goals, or your work, you can make decisions from a place of clarity. When someone asks you to take on a new task or responsibility, ask yourself, does this align with my priorities? If it doesn't, it's okay to say no. Now, let's talk about building the confidence to say no. Saying no can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been in the habit of always agreeing. But confidence comes from practice. The more you say no when it's necessary, the easier it gets. Start small. Maybe you've been saying yes to every invitation or request. The next time something comes up, pause for a moment. You don't have to give an immediate answer. Take a breath and give yourself the time to think. Then, politely but firmly say, I'm going to have to pass this time. It doesn't have to be a long explanation or an apology. You're simply honoring your own needs. Another helpful strategy is to offer an alternative. Let's say a friend asks you to help with something, but you're already overwhelmed. Instead of just saying no and leaving it at that, offer a solution. You could say, I can't help you with that today, but I can recommend someone who might be able to. Or, I don't have the time right now, but let's schedule for next week. This way, you're still being helpful but on your own terms. One more powerful tactic is to practice self-care. When you're prioritizing yourself and your own needs, it becomes much easier to say no to things that drain you. Take care of your body, mind, and soul. When you feel confident in your own worth and well-being, saying no to things that don't align with your values becomes an act of self-respect, not selfishness. When you put yourself first, you set the tone for others to respect your boundaries too. This isn't about rejecting others. It's about protecting your own energy so you can give your best to the things that truly matter. Be kind to yourself. Breaking the habit of saying yes all the time isn't easy, and it's going to take some time. There will be moments when you slip up, when you agree to something out of habit. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. Instead, reflect on what happened and use it as an opportunity to learn. Over time, the more you practice setting boundaries and saying no when needed, the more natural it will feel. The biggest benefit of this shift is that you'll free up your energy to focus on the things that are truly important to you. By saying no to the things that drain you, you create space for growth, for meaningful relationships, for personal goals, and for self-care. Imagine how much more present and energized you'll feel when you're not constantly running on empty. You'll be able to focus your energy on what truly drives you, which in turn will lead to more success, joy, and fulfillment. So what's one thing you can say no to today? One small decision to protect your time and energy will set you on the path to a life that's more aligned with your true goals. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. Now that you know the 3 daily habit mistakes holding you back, it's time to make a change. What's the first habit you're going to stop today? Drop a comment below and let me know how you plan to improve your daily routine for success. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to break free from these habits too. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss out on more tips for boosting your productivity, success, and personal growth. Remember, the first step to success starts with changing your habits. Starting today.